Axio, Chris Pratt joining DC Universe, Starlord dies in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. See what the cosmos wanted to say about this. Check this out.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Cosmic Wonder. I'm Warren Thompson, and we have some very interesting and possibly very exciting news in the DC and the Marvel world today, as James Gunn has expressed that the Guardians of the Galaxy cast will most likely work with him over at DC. Now, I for one think that this could potentially be extremely awesome. I would love to see some of these actors be over in DC in that superhero world, but what does this mean for the Guardians of the Galaxy in the MCU? Well, if you've kept up to date with all of the news that's happened recently with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, what James Gunn has said, what the cast has said, well, then you most likely know that it definitely feels like a lot of the Guardians are going to die. Now, the Guardians of the Galaxy team isn't going to go anywhere. They're simply just going to get new members, and some of those members will be the current original members, but not all will survive. In fact, we're all pretty sure Drax is gonna die. Dave Bautista has talked about moving on from the role many different times, kind of hinting that his character is done. And Pom Klementieff has even commented that even after this movie, it's not over, basically telling us that it is kind of over. But what this really means is that it's over for a few of the characters, and new characters are going to come in and join the team, like Adam Warlock. In fact, I'm starting to think more and more that Adam Warlock and Gamora are going to have some type of a love romantic relationship with each other, much like they do in the comics, because keep in mind, this is not the same Gamora that Starlord fell in love with and who fell in love with Starlord. So I'm expecting some big twists here, but James Gunn has expressed interest in working with Chris Pratt over at DC. In fact, he said he probably going to. He literally said probably. But what does this mean for Chris Pratt's Starlord? Well, does that mean that he's going to die? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that. This doesn't necessarily mean Starlord is going to die. Of course, it's possible for a Marvel actor to also be an actor in the DC universe as well. However, based off of the trailer that we got for the Guardians of the Galaxy, and based off of James Gunn basically telling us this is done, this is the final Guardians of the Galaxy movie in his franchise at least. We've heard him say this is the last Guardians film for him and a lot of the cast. And here is the thing. Yes, it is possible for actors to be in both universes. However, studios might not exactly like that. They don't like mixing up characters, so people kind of get confused. For example, Robert Downey Jr. is the icon of Iron Man. If he appeared as, let's say, Batman, it might cause some confliction with some fans. However, Christian Bale, of course, was the Dark Knight, and he ended up being Gore the God Butcher in Thor: Love and Thunder, so it's possible. However, that character was only in one movie and didn't look anything like Batman. So although we did know that some of the Guardians of the Galaxy were going to die, it makes us think now more than ever, Starlord might actually be one of the characters who is going to die as well. Now, if you're curious as to what exactly James Gunn said, here's what he said on Twitter. When referring to the Guardians of the Galaxy, he said, "This cast are like my family. I cannot tell you how close I am to Chris Pratt and Pom Klementieff and Dave Bautista and Zoe Saldana and Karen Gillan. But I also know I will work again with all those people individually again. Probably at my other job." Now, if you're not aware, James Gunn has recently been announced co-CEO of DC Studios, him and Peter Safran. So James Gunn is in charge of DC, and he's actually made this pretty clear that nobody else is making decisions about what happens in the DC universe but him. He stated on Twitter not too long ago, nobody can interfere except himself because he is in charge. So if James Gunn wanted Chris Pratt to play Batman, he could make it happen. No one would stand in his way. No one can stand in his way. But James Gunn, I think, is being very smart about this entire thing. I think he's got a really great plan that he said he is going to reveal this month. Now, in this plan, I don't think we're going to hear anything about any of the cast members for Guardians of the Galaxy joining the DC universe. This is probably a little bit down the line. For example, James Gunn has already stated that he's basically doing a reboot of the DC universe, talking about how we're going to have a new Superman movie with a new Superman who is going to be a younger Superman. So we can assume that most of these new characters, which are really old characters, coming into the rebooted universe like Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, Cyborg, The Flash, although we have no idea what's going on with Ezra Miller at DC right now, but we can assume all of these characters in the reboot are going to be younger characters. So we can assume that that Chris Pratt and the cast of the Guardians aren't going to be playing any of these characters. I don't think Zoe Saldana is going to be Wonder Woman, and I don't think that Chris Pratt is going to be playing Superman. However, there are some really cool DC characters that these actors could play, like Lex Luthor, Darkseid, Martian Manhunter, a new Riddler, a new Joker. These are all characters that are going to be coming to the new DCU. Then, of course, we have characters like Black Canary, Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. And I actually wouldn't mind Chris Pratt playing somebody really, really awesome like Deathstroke. See a different side of Chris Pratt. The point is, there is many, many different awesome characters that these cast members could play over at DC. The question is, who is going to be a perfect fit for them? So right away, if you have anybody in mind, any role in mind for any specific actor, let us know down below in the comments. Now, as far as DC is concerned, it does seem like there's something that fans need to be aware about. And it's the movies that DC has planned that already exist in the past universe that DC was trying to build. Movies like The Flash 2 and Aquaman 2. These movies are still happening, but they're probably going to end with these movies, despite whatever we've heard online. For example, James Gunn has hinted at very, very, very much that Jason Momoa is probably going to be playing Lobo in the DCU. So no more Aquaman for Jason Momoa. Also, Shazam exists in the universe in which Ben Affleck's Batman exists, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, Ezra Miller's The Flash, and we know that that universe is going away. And yes, Zachary Levi online did say that there's nothing really to worry about, but what I believe he was referring to is that Shazam 2 is not going to be canceled. There was some concern about that, but that movie is still going to be released. However, after that, I don't think Zachary Levi is going to continue as Shazam, but they're not going to come out and say that because that's going to keep some people away from seeing that movie. It's going to discourage them. People essentially will say, well, what's the point in going to see this movie if it's kind of the last of the franchise and the entire universe is basically going to reset after? Well, I think that is pretty much going to happen. Now, I hope people still go watch the movie because it'll probably be a fun movie. And Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren are villains, which I'm really, really excited to see. However, since James Gunn has basically confirmed he is rebooting this franchise, doing a soft reboot and essentially recasting younger Justice League characters, I think it's safe to say that these old characters are going away. Or I should say the actors who play these characters are going away. And this is a good thing. It really is. It is sad and it does kind of suck, but we need a fresh reboot. We need to start over with something that has continuity and connectivity from the very beginning, which is what James Gunn wants to do. And here's the cool thing, he's kind of already done it. He's been with Marvel Studios for a very long time. He's watched what they have done. He is really good friends with Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige even congratulated him on becoming the new CEO of DC Studios. So he has a great relationship with the president of Marvel Studios. So he can ask him for help too if he ever needs anything. But keep in mind, James Gunn directed Peacemaker and the new Suicide Squad movie, both of which were really, really great. So I think James Gunn's got it. I think it's all in good hands at this point in time. So let's just wait and see what he's going to announce next week. And let's cross our fingers for the Guardians of the Galaxy that not all of our favorite heroes are going to bite the bullet in this next movie. But if you have any predictions of your own, please let us know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe so you can stay up to date on the latest Marvel and